I'm Luke Kim, founder and CEO of Spice.ai. Excited for the releases we had recently. So I'll be demoing our new Spice Cayenne data accelerator. Now within Spice, we have 4 accelerators already. We can accelerate using Arrow in memory, using DuckDB file memory mode, using SQLite file memory mode, and actually using an attached Postgres as well. But we're excited to announce a new accelerator that we're calling Spice Cayenne based on the Vortex columnar format. And we're very excited about this because it really helps us scale acceleration within Spice to much larger data sets. What we find in practice is that DuckDB, because it's a single file, often will cap out around about 1 to 5 TB. So if you have accelerations larger than that, it's really hard to make them work without doing a whole bunch of additional work in terms of partitioning, which we actually support within Spice, but it adds complexity to it. And with Spice Cayenne, we can now do multi-file accelerations that basically have unlimited scale horizontally and with significantly less memory usage as well, which is a big deal. DuckDB is a great engine, but a lot of its performance comes from a lot of the in-memory caching it does. And so it uses a lot of memory. And so you'll get comparable and sometimes better performance with Spice Cayenne and with significantly less memory usage, which matters a lot if you're doing large data sets, and cost of machines and so forth with very large memory requirements is important to your enterprise. So you can see here in this graphic that we launched in our tests across, and this is SF100, we get significantly better performance using Spice Cayenne and probably about a third of the memory usage as well. So I want to talk a little bit about what is Vortex. So bringing up Vortex, the GitHub here, it's an open source project, and they described it as an extensible state-of-the-art columnar format meant to replace Apache Parquet. And so you can think of it as like Apache Parquet, the next generation. It is a Linux Foundation project, so it's going to be open source forever. And it is created by the people at SpiralDB, a really good startup out of New York. It has very good, very high performance, and it's built on a bunch of the latest research out there. And technology and papers like Fastlanes and FST and ALP, all these encodings and compression are built into the format, which makes it very high performance. DuckDB file format also has similar encodings and compression, and that's how it gets some of its performance as well. But DuckDB is all coupled to the actual database itself. And so what Vortex does enables us to decouple the much more broadly. It also had a lot of inspiration from the different versions of formats out there. So you might have heard of Velox in Nimble and obviously DuckDB as well. And all of this research and technology has gone into Vortex to make it really good. So here is the benchmarks that Vortex runs. And so they test this against all their databases and file formats. You can see that they tested across a bunch of different benchmarks. And here's ClickBench. And you can actually see that Vortex within DuckDB, DuckDB has recently announced in 1.4.2 support for Vortex. And in 1.4.3, which was just released, they support Vortex natively. So it's built in and you can load it in. And you can actually see within ClickBench, Vortex within DuckDB is faster than DuckDB native itself. And then Vortex within Data Fusion is slightly behind, but all within the same kind of comparable performance. And you can see this is significantly better than even like Data Fusion Parquet, DuckDB Parquet, or Data Fusion Lens. And ClickBench and TPCH SF1 are relatively small benchmarks, and that's where you get the comparable performance. Where Vortex really shines is when you get to larger data sets. So if we scroll down to SF100, you'll see that Vortex is top here. I don't think that they have SF1000, but in our test, the larger you go, the more it makes a difference, especially around memory. I wanted to choose some of the tests that we do internally. This is one of our continuous benchmarks we do. We continuously benchmark a whole bunch of different database projects. And so at the top here, we have DuckDB in memory mode. And this is TPCH SF100, scale factor 100. And here you can see the time scale at 7 minutes, 4 minutes for DuckDB file mode. And DuckDB can often have better performance in file mode than memory mode because of compression. But if you look here at 1.49 minutes, we have Cayenne file mode, and significantly better performance when you get to these larger scale factors. Similarly, if I look over to, this is our maximum memory usage. Maximum memory usage is really important because when you provision machines, even if your average memory usage is low, you've still got to provision a machine for the maximum memory usage just to make it run. And you can see up here we have DuckDB memory mode and DuckDB file mode. They're both around 72 gigabytes here for TPCHS 100 within Spice. But within Spice Cayenne using the Vortex format, we're down here at 43. And so what that means is you can provision smaller machines with less memory and get comparable or better performance, which makes it a really big deal if you're doing this at large scale across the enterprise and you have hundreds or thousands of machines. And finally, I want to do just a quick demo of Vortex. So here is a Spice pod, the simplest Spice pod you can get. Essentially, I have a Parquet file, which is the ClickBench hits Parquet. It's about 20 gigabytes, I think, and I'm just using it from disk. If I look in my directory here, I've got the hits Parquet, and I'm accelerating this using the engine Cayenne, and it's in file mode. And so I've got it running here already, and you can see it's got about 100 million rows. And if I come across here, then I can run our Spice SQL REPL command, and I can run some queries. So here I'm going to do two very basic queries. This is ClickBench Q7, query 7, and I'm going to run that. You can see it's incredibly fast, sub-second to run query 7. Query 23 is a larger query. So this is doing kind of basic things. This one here is actually doing some string matching, doing some non-like and search phrases, as well as some aggregates. And so if I run this query here, you can see that it is, again, sub-second. So very fast query, and without the kind of increased memory usage you get with DuckDB sometimes. So that's a very quick demo of Spice Cayenne, and you can learn more about the Vortex file format from Will Mannings, who's the founder and CEO of SpiralDB, the people initially behind Vortex, but it's a Linux Foundation project now, so many people contribute to it, who did a great talk on the Vortex file format, which they call the LLM VM of file formats in the CMU databases groups. I recommend you check that. Thank you.